Hey everyone, hope you're having a good day. My name's Andy. My channel is Finding Value. Today we're going to do our daily technical analysis update of commodities, work our way through the dollar, yields, precious metals, and commodities ETFs that I follow. And I'm going to interject my financial opinions as we go through it. Again, it's just my opinions. And if you need any help with anything, check out finding-value.com. We do have a discount code going on, LEAP, if you'd like to leap into it. It's 50% off the first month to try it if you'd like to try it, but it's only the first month that you get that 50% discount, or you can get a bigger discount going to the yearly membership, which is much more generous in terms of the discount. All right, so let's dive in here. I'll give you my opinions of what we're seeing today. So we're looking at the dollar first. This still looks good for the dollar to continue higher. We've got large buying pressure, small selling pressure, which is basically a flag pattern that likes to work its way on up. And with yields being stronger, the path of least resistance, in my opinion, is still up. And again, the dollar can have an impact and yields on the pricing of assets, and that's why we look at it. The 2-year yield, we were up today, 0.56, and it still looks good to try to advance to the upside. We do have a bearish engulfing here, and there is the possibility that this could have one last move lower before that occurs. Again, the short term can move in either direction pretty fluid depending on market events that do occur. The 10-year yields looks pretty strong. It looks like it wants to bust a move to the upside. So the 2-year yield, it can go in either direction. I'm guessing it's going to go higher with stronger dollar, and the long end of the curve going up makes me think that the 2-year could potentially go up. That's how I'm interconnecting these things together. But this looks strong where we could potentially head higher. And the reason I think that, if you guys want to see, there's big red candlesticks on the left here, and then there's big green candlesticks on the right here. That to me looks like it's a shift in sentiment or a shift in the candlesticks and the patterns that I see, which makes me think that we want to go higher. You generally get a large buying pressure move with a flag pattern and a break to the upside. Another thing that also influences yields is the price of oil, and they are interconnected. Yields actually led this move to the upside before oil did. The 30-year also getting that flag pattern and starting to break to the upside. We are underneath resistance right where we're at that we're going to have to punch through. But that could happen very easily. We'll have to wait and see what occurs in the markets. TYX TNX ratio trading sideways still. What this means is that the curve is still inverted. The two I'm using is the 30-year and the 10-year. This seems to have a higher correlation to the price of precious metals and gold. So when this stays inverted, like it is, and you've got yields moving on up, it will provide a little bit of a headwind for gold. And then we've got bond prices, which were down a little bit. And this is, again, just a function of prices are inverse of yields. And yields going up means prices are going down. And if we see continued move to the upside in yields, which I think is coming, I think we could see continued price move in bond prices lower. The 2 and 10, it is remaining inverted. It's not really moving much of anywhere. It's just been bouncing sideways. So that is not a tailwind behind gold. So gold is moving sideways, which is a good indication of the strength of gold. I know people will say, oh, it was down. No. Time out. You need to know when gold works, and you need to know when gold is getting a headwind. It's running against a headwind, and it's not really falling. It's just moving sideways, which makes me think that people are accumulating gold for something that is occurring in the future. Because if the headwind is here and it's not really falling, I see that as very good strength. So I do think eventually this is going to work its way on up, and it could work its way on up in a big way because it's holding its ground when a headwind is present. Silver also, surprisingly, it surprised me today. We've got a bullish engulfing today. We're on support. I said, let's watch it, let's watch what yields do. Yields are higher today. And here is silver putting in a bullish engulfing with yields going up. This looks like it wants to go higher. So in the short term, even though you've got some of these relationships, whenever you see a relationship start to break down, or you start to see strength in an environment that is not conducive for the asset, like up higher yields and a curve that isn't uninverting and silver going up, that means we've got some serious strength in silver. I'd be watching silver. I think here's a good spot to be looking. Platinum also finding some buying pressure, even though we had stiff interest rate moves to the upside. I think that we'll probably bottom here at some point. We're running deficits in platinum. We're going to see deficits probably over the next few years. I think platinum is going to be a strong performer. Palladium a little bit weaker. We're on support. It did hold, but I still think that we're trying to bottom in palladium. That is very early in its process. I think platinum is further along, and the substitution is going to help platinum more than palladium. So if I had to choose, and I know some people are asking me, what would I do in my situation? I would be looking at good old platinum. I would hold off on palladium at the moment and see what this bottoming process looks like first. But it's still going through it. XAU to gold ratio, we were down a little bit. We're coming towards the tip of this corner for the gold and silver mining companies in relationship to gold. And it looks like we are squeezing into that corner. And that's what we're looking for. We're trying to see which direction it's going to break. Oil going up is not necessarily a great thing for the gold and silver mining companies because it is an input to their process. It is a cost to their process. And all they're doing is basically converting energy into metals. And it's the price differential between the metal itself and oil and whatever other inputs they have for energy inputs. That's all they're doing. That's what all mining companies are basically are. We've got CRB index working its way on up. It looks really good for a continued move higher, higher, higher. And that's going to be related to oil. Oil is going to be the big driver of it. It looks fantastic, boys. We're getting a bullish engulfing. Let's rip it. CRB to S&P 500, a nice move up today. We've been basing out, kind of moving sideways, and I do think eventually this will work its way on up. Yields are going to work and grind away as a headwind for the overall markets, even though there's a lot of momentum behind the overall markets. And oil's also going to grind away too, because as oil goes up, it's going to impact the CRB index. And as interest rates go up with oil, I think it will impact the S&P 500 in a negative way. GDX down a little bit with oil, gold flat. Still looks like it's got some work. GDXJ and SILJ, it's all the same thing. We're still working our way in this corner here, and we'll see what occurs. Just wait and see. Crude oil, monster day today, 3.55%. I was looking at maybe a potential turn with larger selling pressure before it. We were up against support here. We were coming on up, and I'm glad that we have a nice, strong buying pressure day. The sentiment, I think, is changing a little bit, and I hope that this is the beginning of what could be a very big retirement package. No, very big move to the upside. I'm very exposed to oil, and I think we are at a absolutely fantastic level here. I'm putting it on logarithmic. This is what I see in this move here. I see a consolidation area of 1, 2, 3. That's that area that I circled there. That's consolidating. We've broken out of that consolidation. We've done a retest. And I think we are going to go to a land far, far away from where we are today. I think we're going 100 plus oil. And eventually, I don't know the exact timing, but we're probably going to go up into multi-$100 oil, depending on how tight it gets in the later 2020s. I'm not stating this year. I'm stating later 2020s, we could see multi-$100 oil. But right now, this is hopefully the move that gets us pushing towards the upside. TTF gas, it's putting in a bottoming pattern, I think, for TTF. We've got lots of support underneath us. And then natural gas in America, it is still falling. I think we are close to a bottom. I'm not calling a bottom. I'm saying we're close to a potential bottom somewhere in here, and this will set up the next bull market. It did this last bull market. Last bull market's this blue line here. I call this a fractal. If we back out and zoom over, this is the last fractal that we had. And right now we're kind of slingshotting it perhaps lower. A slingshot is when basically everybody gets on one side. It could be weather related, it could be anything, right? The price pulls on back to an unsustainable level where production really pulls back. We need to see what potential weather comes ahead of us, whether it be cold in the immediate term or warm over the summer for power burn. And it could slingshot this as price is too low. It pulls back on price. It pulls back on production because of the price. And then if we get a strong surge in demand, we'll eat through inventories and this will slingshot it upward. I don't know, this is the fractal. That's not a projection, but I think we'll move on up probably from some point over the next few months. We'll have to put in a bottoming here, bottoming process. XOP, yeah, you know me. This is our oil and natural gas exploration production companies. It's a little bit heavier in natural gas. I think this ETF, when you look at some of the holdings, but we are up today, 1.23%, looking pretty good. Is this a bottom yet? I don't know. It sure looks like it, but I don't want to state anything that I don't know. We do have a bullish engulfing here, which makes me think that we are going to work our way up. We also have another bullish engulfing forming on the weekly candlestick if we can close out tomorrow strong. We are also at a shoulder, head, shoulder. And I think if we break here, guys, oh, come on, baby. It's a big move. So I think this is in a bottoming pattern. I think we'll eventually break. We've seen fractals that look exactly like that with previous moves, and I think we could see a big move. But it hasn't broken out yet. OIH also moving higher, which is the energy service companies. And I do think that if oil continues higher, I think all of this will start to move to the upside. And I am very positive on energy service companies. I'm very, very bullish on energy service. And why is that the case? Is because we've underinvested for a very long period of time. Or you could say that what I think is coming in oil will obviously spur a lot of investment into oil energy service companies, I should say, to increase production of oil and the services that they provide. So I think we are very early in this bull market. We are very early. And we are basically, this is a basing pattern that we've got that's angled upward. And generally, when you have an angled upward basing pattern, it's like super launch at some point. I don't know if we're there yet, but we're getting there. We're getting closer and closer. The Sprout Physical Uranium Trust getting a lot of selling pressure today. Is this going to be a sustainable move to the downside? It could be, but we got to see follow through. We have to see follow through. It's a pretty big selling pressure day. Kind of confusing where you get all this selling pressure occurring when Chemco comes out with them missing basically production targets and then guiding even worse into the future. So some people think that this is a buying opportunity because the fundamentals still look fantastic. What I'll say is, remember that short-term market movements in the market are not an exact representation of the fundamentals. The fundamentals are represented in a long-term pricing movement. The fundamentals represent the long-term big trend move. But you also have to keep in mind, we are at a peak here. And a lot of the times when you get to these peaks, you're going to end up hitting some resistance. And we could end up putting in perhaps a little handle here or something. Maybe the handle looks like that. Maybe the handle looks like this. Maybe we pull back and consolidate for a little while. So again, I don't know the future. I'm not trying to pretend like I can tell you exactly what's going to occur. But usually when you get a big selling pressure candlestick like this could be a beginning of a consolidation where we consolidate sideways or slightly lower for a little bit. Not saying that's 100% in the bag. We'll have to see follow through and what it looks like. URA also getting up that selling pressure, and we'll see if we get a consolidation from it. And we had big selling pressure here, which resulted in a consolidation sideways for a little bit. That's what I mean by a consolidation. It could be the start of a potential consolidation sideways or something like that. URNM also getting that. Do we consolidate a little bit further? And URNJ also getting a little bit more selling pressure today. It had a decent bounce off the bottom. That's what this bounce is off the bottom here, that bounce up. So, I mean, it could consolidate. It might not consolidate. We have to get a little bit more data for me to say that we're definitely in a consolidation. But this could rip to the upside just as easily too, if that's a flag pattern and we just got a little bit of a accentuated move to the downside today. So again, I'm holding on to my shares. I'm not selling. I'm not doing anything. I'm going to ride it. There was times where I tried to do short-term market movements and try to time it in the short term where I got left in the dust as this thing quickly runs. And I'm not doing it this time. The bull market is here. I'm holding. And everything still looks good. TAN down a little bit, probably yields and the yields moving up quite a bit, probably are weighing on some of these, but it just moved sideways. It was holding steady. COPX, again, yields impact this copper pretty well, and it's holding steady. We've got lithium up a little bit, even in the face of stiff interest rate headwinds. And this could be trying to put in a bottom. It looks like we've got a broken downtrend line here where that looks like it's starting to pull away, which is good, REMX also starting to pull up to the upside. These guys are really cheap. Up to you on what you want to do down there. But it looks like it's trying. It's up 1.1%. The S&P 500 was moving sideways. It's still holding on even in the face of interest rates. And NASDAQ moving sideways, up 0.24%. It's still holding on. Would I put a ton of money and make a big bet up here? No, I wouldn't. The risk reward, I think, is pretty close to being at its limits. And yeah, this could easily go up. It could even go up quite a bit in terms of, like that. But the risk reward here is, I mean, I think this is going to have a monster move lower. And you're going to measure this type of move upwards to a move that could have, I'm talking like it could come back to the bottom here. So your risk reward is starting to really favor a downside move versus the upside move. But again, I could be wrong. Maybe this thing continues to go and we go into the largest bubble, which we're already in, and then we just go into a larger bubble. KRE, I think this one looks pretty solid, and it's probably trying to bottom here at some point. We're basically broke out, and we're doing a little bit of a retest. I think it looks good. Emerging markets doesn't like the strong yields, a little bit stronger dollar, slightly lower today, but still looks really good. XHB shrugging it all off, saying, I want to move to all-time highs anyway. This looks like a breakout. It's probably going to keep running. Looks very strong for home builders, which is also supportive of the thesis that we've had on the channel with credit expansion. Move still wants to move to 69 bucks. I think that's basically where we're at. This is going to be one to be looking at here very soon for a potential entry point over time here. Copper down a little bit. We're going towards the bottom end of the support area and the pattern, and I do think that this will eventually work its way on up. But yields are kind of slapping it in the face in the short term. We've got iron ore. I think this looks good to go higher. We've got a nice big candlestick yesterday. I call this a bloody nose, and that looks like we could potentially go up. Still looks good. Aluminum just moving sideways in the face of stronger yields, and I think eventually aluminum is going to run into some pretty nasty deficits in 2024 towards the back half, and I think we'll eventually work our way up. Newcastle coal working up 1.3%, and I do think that this is going to work its way on up. We do need a little bit of support from natural gas. It was down a little bit, and it'll come. We're going to base out here. We'll probably get a slingshot move in natural gas where it pulls us down, gets everybody scared. Anyone who's shorting at that level, they're probably trying to push it lower to exit the short positions. and then reverse to long positions. That's my guess over the next month or so. Bitcoin ripping to the upside looks really, really strong. And we broke that flag pattern yesterday, and it's continuing its move higher. So that looks good. And then Ethereum also breaking its little flag pattern. It's losing a little bit of steam. That's why we got the contraction in the opening and closing price, and then why the candlestick is real small. You can see that we had a big candle here, a smaller candle here, and then a contraction. So that does look like we could pull back a little bit before heading higher in the short term. But that's what I've got for today, guys. So give me a thumb up for the content, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to the website if you guys, you can use that word LEAP in the discount coupon code if you'd like to try it out. We've got a Sunday question and answer session coming up, 7 a.m. That's different than normal because of the Super Bowl that people wanted me to change it. I made the change, no big deal. 7 a.m. Sunday, just keep that in mind. And it is a Zoom meeting that we go over. So that's what I've got for today. If I were to sum it up, go oil. I'm a big oil guy. I love the energy, the nat gas, oil markets. That's where I'm looking. And keep in mind, I'm playing it with some of the nat gas equities. They've pulled back, yeah, but I've been riding this thing for a while, and I'm still very bullish on energy in general across the board. So uranium, oil, nat gas, even coal. I think coal will probably do very well. And I think we're going to squeeze late 2020s in energy, which will eventually manifest itself in much higher precious metals prices too, if you like the physical metals. So that's my take. But that's what I've got for today. We'll catch you guys later. This is Finding Value.